is they don't exist because they're busy playing politics, playing we are the massive organisation that tells the country what to do, that holds the government to account. No, you don't. 15 minutes in and I've had a wonderful rant, and it is at the moment 6:49. So let's play some music. There's one here, I can't remember what it was about. It's called Potato Deal. The humble spud. Oh, what a vegetable. The things you can do with a spud. When I was working in Northern Ireland, I lived on a farm set in 150 acres, and the farmer, mostly his output were vegetables, apart from cattle and sheep, but there were acres and acres of potatoes, and he just left a pork and said, go get them, tiger. And so we had new potatoes directly out of the field. I can't tell you the taste of a new potato, dug out of the ground 10 minutes before it goes into the pot. Wow, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I'm sad to say that it looks as if we're going to have what many predicted would happen, a return, a spike of coronavirus earlier than we thought. And it is remarkable that many people still surge to the beach, sit at restaurants, knee to knee with somebody they've never met. And what does a restaurant owner do about it? What can he do about it? I'm not going to serve you. You know, it really is, and Boris was right on this, it was down to individual responsibility. The trouble is that we seem to be in an age when no one or no group or even almost the entire population have no sense of civic pride, of civic responsibility. I've been denied my right to go to the beach. I'm going to do it. I don't care. Well, I hope that future generations will tag you with a generation of being murderers, because you're killing people at a hell of a rate of knots. Oh dear. Oh, rantaroo. You're having a fine time this morning, Keith. And this is Keith Hayes in Rouser Radio in Lewes, East Sussex. We are known as a rebellious town. This was the site of the beginnings of democracy. After a battle here, the Battle of Lewes, we had the first parliament in Westminster. Not as we know it today, but it was still a parliament. The divine right of kings started to diminish right here in 1264. We had Tom Paine, who thought differently to those around him and dared to say it. Man has certain rights. There should be, he said, a space for the common man to join in government, and it should be called the, wait for it, House of Commons. Sound familiar? Yeah. And then we had burnings at the stake when the rebellious people of Lewes refused to return to Roman Catholicism, when Queen Mary, bloody Queen Mary, tried to re-establish us as a Roman Catholic country after Henry VIII died. Well, we got quite a history. We are quite rebellious, and that's where my rebelliousness comes from. Every time I walk out into the street, I take a deep breath, and I've got this, okay, Keith, let's have a go. Are we living in a just society? Are we living in an even society? Are we living in anything that can mildly be called a democracy? I don't see it myself. There we go. Who knows where we are? Well, rebel. I was on about the BBC, another monolithic organisation, and you hear people saying, "Oh, the BBC." That's all their conceit. They know nothing about the monolithic nature of the BBC, and that monolith is going to send some of us to prison if we don't pay for our license. After 20 years or so, you've got a free license if you're over 65. Well, I'm well over 65. And it's funny, all these organisations, they want to do all sorts of things with you. Like, if there's a lockdown, let's make sure that the over 50s go first. Ha, right? If we have to stop people from going out into the streets, let's make sure the very elderly suffer first. What? Give them compensation because they can't work anymore. 80-year-olds are working now, and half the time it's us keeping the bloody economy going. Because younger people have managed to screw it up so badly, that's why we're in such a mess. Yeah, that's the fact. And then the BBC comes along and says, you had a little perk, didn't you? Well, we're sure as hell going to take that off you, because we can't raise these huge salaries that we pay unless we get the money from somewhere. And the government's being a bit stingy. Let's get it off old age pensioners. Well, get it off us, if you can. But there is a big resistance movement going on. And perhaps one of the things that will happen is both the NHS will be rightly reformed after lockdown has ended, properly ended, and perhaps the BBC will be reformed once lockdown has ended, and perhaps other big institutions which have been riding high up until now will be reformed, because reform is needed. And if you think that, it's just Keith Hayes ranting on and raving, is before the last election, Boris, the man in charge now, said, our systems of governance are not fit for purpose, and that goes from the House of Lords right down to the tiny little parish councils that sometimes look after bits and pieces in remote parts of this United Kingdom. Well, Let's carry that reform out. We came out of the common market, we came out of the EU because of its failure to reform, and it's already running into trouble because it hasn't learned its lesson. It has not reformed. And people like Angela Merkel, for all that is said about her, has a fine element of common sense. You can't persuade them to start to look into their soul. No reform in the EU, no reform in the UK, no reform in the country, no reform in Lewis, no reform of the monolithic organisations, and we are living in a busted flush. It's only a matter of time before it implodes, and it's almost imploding because of coronavirus. So perhaps this has been a blessing in disguise. Oh, I am dreadful. I am dreadful. Runaway fashion. Haha. Wonder what that's about. Well, don't think much of that, do you? I'll have to. Let's get rid of that now, because if we'd be tempted to play it sometime in the future if we. I don't know that we can get rid of it now, but I will get rid of it. Let's go to something safe. Out of New Haven. Here we go. Dandelion Charm. John and Claire Fowler. Dandelion Charm. Oh, I flipped a little hard there, didn't I? Didn't mean to cut him off like that. This is Keith Hayes, Rouser Radio in Lewis, saying good morning to you. We've gone through our allotted time. It is now 7:04. and a lot of ranting and raving this morning, but boy, I've enjoyed it, and there are a few things to rant